In this video, you're going to learn how to make a steak like this in just 10 minutes on your stove, even if it's a stove in a small apartment kitchen like I've got right here, with nothing more than a pan like that and very, very simple basic setup. Other than the steak, this is all you're going to need right here. First, you're going to have some kosher salt, coarse. You need it to be coarse because you want it to be bigger than the small fine-grained regular table salt. It makes a big difference when you're seasoning it for the crust. Just some black pepper. I don't have any larger pepper here, but this black pepper does work fine for the flavor. Again, though, larger would be better. I've got 2 cloves of garlic and just some regular butter. I'm not going to use that much. That's just what I had in my fridge. And here I have my peanut oil. Peanut oil specifically because it produces the least amount of smoke as opposed to olive oil or some other cooking oil. Now, I normally don't get steak this nice, but since I figured I'm going to make a video about it, I might as well go get a pretty nice one. This is a really nice ribeye steak that I got. It's about an inch and a half thick. It's what they call marbling, is like, the mixture of the meat with the fat, and it's like pretty well marbled. It's mostly meat, but there's going to be a little bit of pockets of fat in there, and that's just really, really good for flavor. The seasoning is really simple. You just put some of that kosher salt on top. A pretty healthy amount. Don't be afraid to put a lot up there. Just make sure if it pockets like I kind of did right there, just spread it out so it doesn't get too much. Then just follow it up with your pepper. And then, just get it everywhere even. Nice, good layer of it. Not too much, but definitely not too little. You want a decent amount on this again. And also push it in when you're done spreading it around just so it stays better on the steak. Go ahead and just do the same exact thing to the other side. And you're done with the seasoning. My camera was turned off, but at this point, when I finally turned it back on, I had cooked it for 2.5 minutes on one side in the peanut oil on medium to high heat, and I just flipped it. Now, unless it's an excessive amount of fat, what you can do, there's a little bit of fat on the end here, and I just tilt the pan and pick up the steak and kind of cook it off like I was just doing, and that usually will take care of most of the fat, if not all of it. Also, it's good to do that just to cook the sides, especially for this steak because it is so thick. Now, after about 2.5 minutes on that side of the steak, I put in my butter and my garlic on a medium heat so I don't produce too much smoke again, because the butter can smoke up pretty bad as well. Really get the butter to start melting, and then what you want to do is baste the steak with the butter that starts to melt on the side. Kind of scoop it up and put it over the steak like I'm doing right here. Don't forget to crush your cloves of garlic either before you put them in. And right before I was going to take it out of the pan, I decided to flip this one over and put the other side on that buttery garlic mixture. I knew I had enough time to do this because it wasn't going to overcook because it was so thick. So I decided, instead of basting it over and over again, because I had enough butter left, I would just kind of do that. So I'm going to cut into the steak here. Because it's so thick, it's really hard to tell, exactly how much you've cooked it. So I wanted to take a kind of a test cut. And you can see right there, it's pretty rare in the middle, almost still kind of raw, but just starting to get there. So I've almost got it right, but just not quite enough the way I like it. Some people, if you really like raw steak, you can leave it like that, but for most people I know, I'm assuming you're going to want to cook it a little bit more, so I put it back in the pan. I gave it another minute on each side. I kind of underdid it because of how thick it was, so I ended up doing 3.5 minutes on each side, 3 to 3.5 for the total time on each side. And that is what got me to where I want it to be. You'll see right here that I've gotten it to right where I want it. It's got that great color on the outside, kind of that sear, and then that just grading of pink from the middle to the outside, kind of getting lighter as you go out. I've left it nice and flavorful in there with a medium rare to rare, probably medium rare even right there. And it's a really, really great steak to be able to make on a stove in your apartment. Nothing fancy, no hard work. It's just really good steak.